Hi everybody, it's Christina from Pretty Distressed. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to be trying blending for the first time. I'm going to be attempting a pink ombre desk for my daughter's room. I've been watching lots of videos in preparation for this, and I hope you guys feel inspired to try blending too. So if you want to see me blend for the very first time, just keep watching. Today's video is sponsored by Dixie Belle Paint Company, and if you've been around here for a while, you know what that means. There's going to be another $100 gift card giveaway to their website. It's really easy to enter. All you have to do is make sure you're subscribed to this channel, Christina Muscari, subscribe to Dixie Belle Paint Company's YouTube channel, and then leave a comment below and you will be entered. All the details about how I'll pick the winner and when I pick the winner will be down in that description box, as well as all the products that I use today. So let's jump in and start blending. This is the piece that I'm going to be tackling today. This is my daughter's desk, and I've actually already made this piece over once. I got it off of Facebook Marketplace, I think for like $20 or $40 a couple years ago, and made it over for her when we first moved in. I still really like this, but it is just too farmhouse for her room. Her room is very girly and blingy, and it's the place where we can have fun and get furniture really glammed up. And when I first redid this, I did not fix this corner, so I'm going to be fixing that this time. My little girl also loves art, so she's constantly painting and drawing on this desk, so the top is very beat up, so I'm going to be refinishing that as well. This was actually really easy to fix, and I'm kicking myself that I didn't take the time to fix this the first time I refinished this, but all these unscrewed, and then I just had to take the screws out of the frame. They were just stripped, so I just got some new wood screws and screwed that in, and the drawer looked good as new. I'm also going to be updating the hardware today, so I am going ahead and removing that. And this piece was originally finished with a Dixie Belle Best Dang wax. And instead of just painting over it today, I'm actually going to remove the wax with this denatured alcohol. So I'm just putting this on a rag and rubbing down the whole piece to break down that wax finish. Now, this is not necessary because this wax is cured. I probably could paint over it and it would be fine. I've just noticed when I've done that recently that the paint has started chipping off a little bit and the wax has been resisting that paint. So just for extra measure, I am removing the wax finish today. Here I'm taking a 150 sandpaper and I am just sanding down the raised areas where some of my paint had pulled around my hardware after I painted it. And then I'm finishing that off with a 220 sandpaper just to make it nice and smooth. And now I'm going to clean my entire piece with a Dixie Belle White Lightning just to remove that alcohol residue and to get any grease or grime that I might have missed. It's always important to have a really clean piece before you start painting. And like always, once I go through and clean this whole thing with a scrubby sponge, I will get some clean water and rinse the entire piece off. I'm going to be using Dixie Mud to fill in any gouges I have on my piece, and I am paying particular attention to where my original hardware was because it gouged into the wood and I want this to be nice and smooth. So after about a couple hours, you can come back in here and sand this down. I'm using a 220 rad pad, Surf Prep rad pad. I love these things, and just making it nice and smooth before I start painting. I'm spot priming these little areas where my hardware was just so my paint goes on even and that the coverage will be the same throughout. I'm going to use 3 different colors to get an ombre effect on this desk. So I am just marking off my piece into thirds so I have an idea where I want each color to go. So I'm actually only going to be using 2 colors to make my 3 colors. So I'm going to be using pink champagne as my light color and tea rose as my dark color. And then I'm going to mix those 2 together for my middle color. I'm going to start with Tea Rose, so I'm just shaking this up and I'm going to be applying this one with my Dixie Mini Angle. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I have never attempted to blend in any type of fashion before. So before I started this project, I watched a lot of great videos on YouTube to learn how to blend, just like you guys come here to learn new things. And my favorite one that I found that I think is the easiest to follow is by Christina of Bella Renovar. So I am going to link that video down below. She gives a awesome step-by-step and really breaks down this process, and that is what I'm following today. So you should definitely go watch that video and check it out. And this is what you can accomplish by watching it. So the first thing I'm doing is taking my darkest color, this is Tea Rose, and I am just applying this to the top half of my desk where I marked off that first third section. This is just the normal way that I paint, nothing special so far, so I'm just getting on this first coat of Tea Rose. I'm actually going to be using 5 brushes for this project. So each color, since I have 3 colors, is going to have its own dedicated brush. And then I need 2 neutral brushes to feather in between my colors. So once I was done getting Tea Rose on, I just wrapped it up in some cling wrap and set it aside and grabbed my next brush and color. And for my next color, I'm actually going to mix my lightest color and my darkest color together in a 1-to-1 ratio. So I love these little canisters that have markings on it because it makes it really easy to measure. So I'm just pouring both colors in there, mixing them up very, very well. Make sure that all your color is incorporated. I'm grabbing a clean brush and I am going to paint my next section that I have marked off with this color. So the reason I'm using this mixed color in the middle instead of picking like 3 different pinks is this is what Christina recommended for a beginner who's new to ombre. It's just going to make my blending easier because I'm gradually going from one color to the next. So I'm not going to have to work as hard as you typically would if you were using different colors, and you don't have to really worry about, am I matching? Am I picking the right colors? This is kind of blending for, I don't want to say dummies. This is blending for beginners, just like me. So again, once I was done with this color, I took my brush and wrapped it in some cling wrap and wrapped my paint as well. And now we're going to go to the last color, which is Pink Champagne. And again, I have a clean brush set aside, dedicated for Pink Champagne. And this color is going to go on the bottom third of my desk. So these coats are base coats. I'm not doing any blending yet. I'm just butting up right next to the color that I did before this. Typically you could do 2 coats of your base coat, and you probably will need to do that. But since I was going over white, the coverage on this was really great. So I only needed to do 1 coat of base coat. And I'm going to let these dry completely before I jump into blending. Okay, let's blend. So I am taking my dark color and my Tea Rose, and I am going to spray down my area where my 2 paints are touching. And I'm going to take this Tea Rose and I'm going to go all the way up to my line, and I'm going to go a little bit past it too. You don't want to load your brush with lots of paint. You want to definitely feather it and use a light hand, but do not be scared to go below that line where your 2 colors touch. You really need to get that color down there to get your blend to be nice. So after I got that first color down, I'm going to spray it again with my mister bottle, and then I'm going to come in with my mixed color, and I'm going to start down in the area where that drops off, and then I'm going to feather that up over my line where my 2 colors touched. Now at this point, when your paint is wet and your colors are so similar, you can't really tell what you're doing, so don't be freaked out by that. I just had to trust the process and remember where my line is. And you can kind of see like on the side where the line is, so that helps. And just kept blending and feathering. So now that I have my 2 colors on, I'm misting again with my sprayer, and then I'm taking a completely clean brush. This is what Christina calls a neutral brush, and I'm just going back and forth over this and blending blending those together really well. It's important that this brush does not have any paint on it because we're just trying to marry the two colors. We don't want to add any paint on top of here. I think the most important thing that I learned is you definitely want to keep your surface pretty damp. You don't want it dripping, but I don't think I was using enough water at first and my colors weren't blending together that well. But I will tell you, this paint is super amazing for blending. I've heard everybody say that Dixie Belle is like the best at blending, and I did find it really easy to work with. But just keeping it damp, keeping that water on it helps like your open time, and it helps you be able to blend it down a lot better. So now I'm going to blend my middle color and my bottom, which was pretty easy for me because the only place that they met were on the spindles. So again, I'm taking that top color, that color that I have in the middle, that's the two colors mixed together. And once I got that on, I sprayed this down again, and then I moved on to my pink champagne color and put that on the bottom half of the spindle, and then I blended it all together with another neutral brush. At this point, I ran out of Dixie Belle brushes, so I'm using a zebra brush to blend these together. Here, I just wanted to show you the difference between a blended spindle and one that I haven't touched yet. So while all my blended paint is drying, I wanted to move over to the top. And like I said, this thing is in rough shape. I didn't want to strip it off. I just kind of wanted to lighten it up a little bit. So I'm going to be using Voodoo Gel Stain. This is a water-based stain, so it's really easy to clean up and to use inside. And I was just going for a whitewashed effect on this top just to tone it down a little bit. Once I have all the stain brushed out, I'm just grabbing a lint-free cloth and I'm wiping back the excess, and I'm going in a back and forth motion with the grain so that it'll look natural. Here I am adding a second coat just because I wanted to lighten it up just a little bit more. I'm putting this on the same exact way that I did the first coat. Now that my paint is dry, I am ready to top coat, and I'm going to be using Dixie Belle Clear Coat today and applying it with my angled mini, but I'm not using flat today. I know you guys see me use flat all the time and I love it, but I have some satin in my closet and I thought it would be a good time to try it out on this piece. And I actually really think this is easier to put on than the flat. It just seems to even out and smooth out a little bit more. It is a little bit thicker than the flat. When it dries down, it has just a little bit more sheen than flat would, but I like it with this piece and the ombre. I think the satin finish goes really well with a blended look. For the top, I'm going to be sealing it with Gator Hide, which is the most protective top coat that Dixie Belle makes, and I'm going to be applying it with their sponge. I like to get these damp before I apply my Gator Hide. I love using Gator Hide on the top of my pieces because it is super protective, and like I said, my daughter does art and all sorts of things at this desk and it's already pretty beat up. So sealing this, I wanted to do something that was really protective and that's going to be able to clean up marker and paint and whatever she gets on here. So my base is looking beautiful after that first coat of satin, but I did want to give it some extra protection, so I did do a second coat of the clear coat in satin all over the piece, and then I did a second coat of gator hide. And to finish this piece off, I got some gold pools from Home Depot. So just to remind you what we started off with, this little farmhouse dresser, and here she is all glammed up with her pink ombre makeover and gold accents. I had so much fun trying out blending. I can't wait to practice more and try out more colors and just do more projects blending. Thank you for joining me for today's video. I hope it inspires you to try blending out for yourself. I will be back next week with another project. Thanks for being here, you guys, and I will see you next time.
What's with the little pansy? Just hold the button down and drill it in.
Sorry. Murphy ate my Haven pencil. Sad. And he ate my standing block. What am I gonna do with him? What'd you do? Did you do that? Did you do that? South bad boy. No.